Giriva. Anjana Yashodanandana Prajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari
The Songs of Krishna, Canto 3, Status Quo, Chapter 24, Pronunciation of Cardinal Hare, Text number 21. Sarva Bhagavan Adya Eva paksha pashnaha seva bhagavanadya evanana ganayana Krishna Jatagramyana Yaswanam Paksha Poshanaha Seva Bhagavanadya Helanana Ganayanaha Grihesha Jatagramyana Yasanam Paksha Poshanaha Seva Bhagavanadya Helanana Ganayanaha
Riheshu Jatu Gramyanam Yeshu Swanam Bhaksha Poshanaha Oh, once again.
Seva Bhagavan Adya
Saeva Bhagavan Adya
Ilamna Vinayanaha
Elanam Naganayanaha
Yeshu Jato Gramyanam
Griheshu Jatu Gramyanam
Eksvanam Pakshaposhanaha
Yaswanam Bhaksha Poshanaha
Saeva Bhagavan Nadya
Saeva Bhagavan Adya
Helanam Naganayanaha
Elanam Naganayanaha
Griheshu Jato Gramyanam
Griheshu Jatu Gramyanam
Yaswanam Pakshaposhanaha
Yaswanam Bhaksha Poshanaha Saeva Bhagavan Adya Helanam Naganayanaha Griheshu Jatu Gramyanam Yaswanam Bhaksha Poshanaha
Saeva Bhagavanadya
Saeva Bhagavanadya
Hilenam Naganaya Naha
Helanam Naganayanaha
Griheshu Jato Brahmanyanam
Griheshu Jatu Gramyanam
Yasvanam Bhaksha Poshanam
Yaswanam Bhaksha Poshanaha
Seva Bhagavanadya
Seva Bhagavanadya
Ilanam Naganayanaha
Elanam Naganayanaha
Yeshu Jatu Gramyana
Griheshu Jatu Gramyanam
Yaswana Pakshaposhanaha
Yaswanam Bhaksha Poshanaha
Devotees online.
We can go ahead. Oh, wait. Hare Krishna.
Saiva Bhagavanatya
Sa eva bhagavanatya
Helanamna Gananyaya Naha
helanamna ganaya naha
Griheshu Jatu Gramyanam
viheshu jatu gramyanam
Yaha Svanam Pakshaposhanaha
yaha swanam pakshaposhanaha
Seva,
sa eva,
that very same.
that very same Bhagavan,
Supreme Personality of Godhead.
the Supreme Personality of God,
Today, Elam, negligence, no, not, God, considering high and low, creation, innocence, Chaitanya, appearing, souls, Yahweh, he who, Swaran, of his own devotees, Paksha Poshna, supports the party. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Not considering the negligence of ordinary householders like us, that very same Supreme Personality of Godhead appears in our homes just to support His devotees. Report. Devotees are so affectionate toward the Personality of Godhead that although He does not appear before those who practice yoga in a secluded place, even for many, many births, He agrees to appear in a householder's home where devotees engaged in devotional service without material yoga practice. In other words, devotional service to the Lord is so easy that even a householder can see the Supreme Personality of Godhead as one of the members of his household, as his son, as Cardinal Nuri experienced. He was a householder, although a yogi, but he had the incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Kapila, as his son. Devotional service is such a powerful transcendental method that it surpasses all other methods of transcendental realization. The Lord says, therefore, that He lives neither in Vaikuntha nor in the heart of a yogi, but He lives where His pure devotees are always chanting and glorifying Him. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is known as Bhaktavatsal. He is never described as Jnani Vatsal or Yogi Vatsal. He is always described as Bhaktavatsal because he is more inclined toward his devotees than toward other transcendentalists. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is confirmed that only a devotee can understand him as he is. Bhakti-man Janati. One can understand me only by devotional service, not otherwise. That understanding alone is real because although jnanis, mental speculators, can realize only the effulgence or the bodily luster of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and yogis can realize only the partial representation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. A bhakta only realizes Him as He is, but also associates with the Personality of Godhead face to face. So therefore, if you're inclined, but we'd like to hear your comments on Srimad Bhagavatam. Jai Sisi Gauratai. Om Gyana Tamyandisya Gyana Gyana Shlakaya Chaksha Umalitamina Tasmai Shri Gurve Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torch of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. So this verse, Cardinal Nuri, by his words, he's expressing how humble he is, how how lowly he feels, because he feels himself to be an ordinary householder, even though he's such an exalted person, the son of Lord Brahma, the creator of the universe. He's a pure devotee. This is the sentiment of a pure devotee. He never feels himself very much advanced or exalted. He feels himself a sinful rascal. And Bhakti Yoga is so nice that in the Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya, those who are in this Sampradaya are the most fortunate, because they have the opportunity to have a direct relationship with the Supreme Lord as their son or as their lover. This is not available in other Sampradayas. Everyone in other faiths that they worship God as the Supreme Father, but nowhere else except here in the Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya, we have examples of devotees accepting the Supreme Lord as their son. And when Krishna appears as the son of Devaki, the son of Mother Yashoda, he appears as a helpless baby. And Mother Yashoda is thinking, if I don't feed Krishna, he'll die. This is the power of Yoga Maya. She doesn't know that he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But her love for Krishna is very exalted. And the gopis, they were not yogis. They never practiced pranayama. They never practiced asanas. They were ordinary household girls and ladies. But their love for Krishna was unsurpassed. They never practiced meditation or severe austerities. But they gave up everything for Krishna. Their renunciation was complete. They renounced even their families, their family members, and they were not concerned with their reputations, but they went to Krishna whenever Krishna blew his flute in the dead of night, and they immediately left their children and husbands and went to see Krishna. So Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Bhakti-nanya sakya hamevam madhorjana kyatam trastam tatvela resam prantapa. My dear Arjuna, only by undivided devotional service can I be understood as I am, standing before you, and can thus be seen directly. Only in this way can you enter into the mysteries of my understanding. So Bhakti Yoga is such a nice thing that one can see Krishna directly. And at that time, there'll be no question of doubting whether Krishna exists or not, because you'll see Krishna face to face. You could play with Krishna. You could touch Krishna. You could eat with Krishna. You could wrestle with Krishna as a cowherd boy. So these things are possible in Bhakti Yoga. Any comments or questions? Yes.
Thank you, Prabhu. So, on this point of becoming Krishna's family member, many times Prabhupada speaks about this, and it seems that we should be becoming enthusiastic, or it's a type of a spiritual incentive for our practice. And but at the same time, there is warnings about premature delusions of advancement. So how do we balance these two things?
Love of Godhead starts with to Guru and Shastra. Without obedience, there's no question of love. And in Bhakti Yoga, there are many rules and regulations. There are 64 do's and don'ts that are mentioned by Rupa Goswami in the Nectar of Devotion. And unless one follows, unless one accepts all these rules and regulations, there's no question of love of God. And the deity, even though he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he's Krishna himself, still one should not embrace the deity as if he's my son, because we're not on that platform. There's one devotee in Navadvip, Vamsidas Babaji. He accepted his deities of Gauranga and Nityananda as his beloved sons, and sometimes he would take a stick and threaten them with a stick when they misbehaved. But those of us who are not on that platform, we should not imitate Vamsidas Babaji, but we should respect the deity as the Supreme Personality of Godhead in awe and reverence, not as our son or our friend or our lover. And one should respect the spiritual master in awe and reverence. One should not try to become a friend of the spiritual master, but one should always serve him as always in the exalted superior position as representative of Krishna. That's a very good question, because there are many sahajis nowadays. So when I was in Cleveland Temple, there was one Indian, this Bengali gentleman who was a regular at the temple, and sometimes during darshan of deity, sometimes he would roll on the ground, and he would try to imitate various ecstatic symptoms, but Prabhupada never did such things, even though he's in the most exalted position of Krishna Prema. Yes.
So Kardama Muni is admitting some sort of a negligence and calling himself an ordinary householder. So what is the example for householders in our movement that we can learn from this?
Yes. Generally, when one becomes a householder, his devotion, his love for Krishna is divided, because he has to spend so much of his affection on his wife, on his children, on his other family members, his father and mother. Expand out affection as affection for community, affection for nation. But unless one has undivided affection for Krishna, he cannot go back to Godhead. So generally in household life, generally not always, but if one becomes a householder, because he has extensive contact with the material world, and he has to work to his spiritual advancement is generally slower than those who are brahmacharis or sannyasis. And every devotee who's a household, he should be thinking, I've been negligent in serving Krishna. I'm spending so much time and doing other things. And if one is sincere and one is not too attached, then he should, at the age of 50, renounce that corporate life and engage fully in devotional service to the Krishna Guru. Yes, Jagannath Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. I was wondering if you could clear something up for me. Basically, what I wanted to know was the difference between imitation and following.
What is the difference between renunciation and following?
No, imitation and following.
Imitation. Yes, one cannot renounce simply by putting on saffron cloth. One has to renounce a desire for sense gratification. And the impersonalists, they forcefully renounce sense gratification. They give up all sex life. They give up eating palatable foodstuffs. The diet is very regulated. Their sleep is minimized. They also worship deities, but for the aim of merging into the impersonal Brahman. But Bhakti Yoga is so easy that one would have to be crazy not to accept it if he's given the opportunity. Rupa Goswami praised Lord Chaitanya, Mahavadanaya Krishna Prema Badayate, Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya, Namakaratu Namaha. You are the most munificent man of charity because you are distributing freely Krishna Prema. When the Nimai Pandit was 17 years old, he was a very popular Sanskrit scholar, and he was engaged in chanting Hare Krishna and dancing. And he became so popular that the Brahmins of Navadvip, they became disturbed, they became envious. And they complained to the Qazi that this Nimai Pandit, he's ruining the Hindu religion. He says that one can achieve the highest perfection simply by chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra and dancing. So the Sankirtan movement should be stopped because he's destroying Hinduism. And the Qazi, he was a learned scholar, not only in the Quran, but also in the Vedic scriptures. And he had a long discussion with Nimai Pandit, and at the end, after the Sankirtan movement was tried to be stopped, after Nimai Pandit organized a great civil disobedience movement of something like 100,000 devotees. He was so popular. And they went to the Qazi's house, and the Qazi was afraid because of the numbers of Sankirtan devotees. So after a long discussion with Nimai Pandit, he agreed not to stop the Sankirtan movement in Navadvip. And his descendants still keep that promise. They never interfere. Although they're Muslims, they never interfere with Lord Chaitanya's Sankirtan movement. So other transcendentalists, they realize different features of the Lord, that they're also making spiritual advancement. They're jnanis, they're yogis, but the jnanis and yogis it's difficult to practice in this stage. It's very difficult to meditate on something that's not a person. Whenever we want to meditate, we have to meditate on some form or something that has life. Sometimes the so-called meditators meditate on a circle on the wall, but we meditate on Krishna's holy name, and we meditate on the transcendental form of Sri Sri Gauratai and the form of the Guru. So these are real transcendental meditation. There's one cheater, Maharishi Maharshi Yogi. I was also cheated by him. He called his meditation transcendental, but actually it's false. There's nothing transcendental about it. And when I was a teenager, I paid the $35 for the mantra. Nowadays, $35, it was back in the 60s, $35 now would be something like $500 for a mantra. And I was kind of disappointed because I'll tell you what the mantra is for free. It's Ang. I was thinking, what kind of mantra is this? It's just one syllable? And I'm supposed to meditate on this for 15 minutes and I'll improve my life? So I was kind of so skeptical. So there's so many cheaters who make a business out of yoga. They make a business out of bhakti. They open temples with gorgeously decorated deities in the hope that people will come and give the donations. So this is not bhakti, this is business. And Prabhupada warned us not to turn our temples into places of business. They should be like military camps where the devotees go out and help spread Lord Chaitanya's mission of love of God. Okay, so further questions, I'll go on to text 30. Siyam Vakyam Tam Kartum Avatirno Sime Grihe Chakirsha Bhagavan Gyan Bhakti Varda. Translation: Cardinal said, "You, my dear Lord, who are always increasing the honor of your devotees, have descended in my heart just to fulfill your word and disseminate the process of real knowledge." Report: When the Lord appeared before Cardinal after his mature yoga practice, he promised that he would become Cardinal's son. He descended as a son of Cardinal in order to fulfill that promise. Another purpose of his appearance is Chakirsha Bhagavan Gyanam, to distribute knowledge. Therefore, he is called Bhaktanam Varnaha. So it's the honor of his devotees. By distributing Sankhya, he will increase the honor of the devotees. Therefore, Sankhya philosophy is not dry mental speculation. Sankhya philosophy means devotional service. How could the honor of the devotees be increased unless Sankhya were meant for devotional service? Devotees are not interested in speculative knowledge. Therefore, the Sankhya enunciated by Kapila Muni is meant to establish one firmly in devotional service. Real knowledge and real liberation is to surrender under the Supreme Personality of Godhead and engage in devotional service. So throughout Prabhupada's books, whether it's Bhagavad Gita or Srimad Bhagavatam or Sri Ubhadeshamrita or Chaitanya Charitamrita, devotional service is stressed on every page. surrender to Krishna, stressed. Jai Shri Gauranitai. So the devotee who is always engaged in glorifying Krishna, Krishna wants that devotee to be glorified. But sometimes if the devotee is immature and he becomes puffed up, he becomes too proud of his position or his achievements in devotional service, sometimes Krishna punishes that devotee by making him fall down, or he takes away his honor. But if a devotee is pure, mature, such a devotee is glorified all over the world. Not only in the present, but for many millions of years, like Cardinal Murli, even though he appeared millions of years ago, still he's being glorified because he's pure devotee. He's not puffed up. He thinks himself a humble householder. Before I joined the Krishna consciousness movement, I was living in the Kundalini yoga ashram of Yogi Bhajan, and we were practicing pranayama and Ashtanga yoga. We were doing austerities. We were basically following four principles, although I don't think we were eating Krishna prasadam. We're taking a cold shower every morning. There's no hot water. It's always cold, even in the cold seasons. And living in a barn with no electricity. But still, Krishna was not the center there. And there's one girl there. We thought she was an accomplished yogi because she could twist her body into pretzel shapes. She could put her feet behind her head, and she's expert in practicing pranayama. But if one stretches the joints too much, there's a danger that they won't return to their normal condition. And when such a person becomes old, he'll become an invalid because he won't be able to walk or stand up properly. So this kind of yoga is not possible in this Kali Yuga. One can improve one's health. Prabhupada said one can improve one's health by doing certain asanas. But good health is not the process of self-realization. One can be a pure bhakti yoga and still be in poor health. One could still be crippled and be a bhakti yogi. Bhakti yoga is so easy that even the children like to chant and dance Hare Krishna. But our children don't like to meditate, but they do like to chant and dance and eat prasadam. All glories to His divine grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Now it's time for the Sankirtan festival.
So for this week, we will announce the scores for the pleasure of Shishi Gorni Tai, the Lord Nrsimhadev and Prahlad Maharaj, Tulsi Maharani, the Vaishnava Acharyas, and Srila Prabhupada, as well as His Holiness Dhanavir Goswami and all the assembled devotees. So So this week we have 322. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 book distributors. Haribol. And coming in fifth position with 3 magazines for a total of 0.3 book points. Bhakta David. Haribol. And in fourth position with 2 book points for a total of, well, actually it was with 1 small book and 1 Maha book for a total of 2.1 book points. Magadori Das. And I guess this would be actually first and second position with, so this one is in third position with 5 magazines or 7 magazines and 5 big books for a total of 5.7 book points. Jagannath Das. Haribo. And in first and second position with 3 magazines, 2 small books, 1 medium book, 2 big books, and 2 Maha big books for a total of 7.3 book points. Sarva Mangala Devi Dasi and Rupugna Prabhu. Haribo. So I'll show some photos of the Sankirtan. So that's here's your Pugna Prabhu with some gentlemen at the plaza. And here's a Mataji that got Bhagavad Gita. And here we have Jagannath Prabhu with Mr. Kelly. Okay, so tell us about one highlight, Prabhu.
Can you go to the guy with the UFC hoodie on? So this guy, he was my highlight was I saw this man, I think he's a kid, I don't know. But I saw this man walking towards the Harinam, and I saw that he was wearing the UFC hoodie, and I said to him, "Did you know that I asked him like, what do you practice? Do you do MMA?" And which is mixed martial arts. And he said, "No, I don't do him." He said, I do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, which is a type of it's a grappling martial art. Basically, you put people in chokeholds and make them tap out. Anyway, reminiscing. But this guy, I told him, I can't really remember what I said to him, but or how the interaction went. But I was just so happy because somebody with the same background as me gave a donation for the books, and I was just really happy. yeah, that's about it, I think. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. So we also there was actually um, a few book points that I'll count that are from the Comic-Con Harinam that we did, and a couple people got a couple small books there. And yeah, we were doing Harinam at the Comic-Con, Jambata Sutta and I and Jagannath Prabhu, and we were chanting for about an hour and a half, I think. And yeah, there was a lot of people there, and they were waiting in line. And a few people came up and just wanted to give us some donations. And then we tried to get them some books. And yes, thank you very much. Transcendental Book Distribution Ki Jai.